U.S. government shutdown, the unseen battle for your health insurance. Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight for another episode at Midnight Macroeconomics, the place where we turn the complexities of the global economy into a soothing story to help you fall asleep. Settle in, dim the lights, find your most comfortable spot. Tonight, we're going to explore a strange, unseen battle playing out right now in the heart of the American economy. A battle that isn't fought with tanks or rockets, but with deadlines, policy, and deeply personal costs. The quiet crisis. Our story tonight is about the current ongoing government shutdown, which has entered its fourth week now. It sounds dramatic, but what does it really mean? Imagine the U.S. government as a massive, intricate machine that runs on money, your tax dollars. Every year, Congress is supposed to agree on how to spend that money. When they can't agree, the money runs out, and parts of the machine grind to a halt. Essential services, like the military, keep running, but many others, like parks, certain research departments, and the release of important economic data. For nearly 4 weeks now, this has been happening. It's not a full national crisis, but it is a quiet, expensive crisis. And as we'll see, it's all centered around one surprising thing: your health insurance. The players and the prize. The ACA tax credit. Every great story needs a prize, and two opposing sides. The prize in this battle is the ACA tax credit. Let's define our term simply. The ACA stands for the Affordable Care Act, sometimes called Obamacare. It's the law that created health insurance marketplaces where individuals can shop for plans. A tax credit is essentially a subsidy, money from the government that helps people afford those health insurance plans. It lowers the monthly cost. If these credits expire, health insurance suddenly becomes much more expensive for millions of Americans. Now for the players. On one side, we have the Democrats. For them, extending these tax credits is a big win. It's a chance to show their voters, ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, that they can deliver tangible, helpful policy. It's about credibility and keeping a key program strong. They see the shutdown as an opportunity to push this essential policy across the finish line. On the other side, we have the Republicans. Their broader goal is to curb fiscal spending, to spend less of the nation's money. The shutdown, for them, is a tool to force a reduction in the overall government budget. They want to use the crisis to achieve their goal of a smaller, less expensive government. So the core of the standoff is simple. One side wants to ensure more people can afford health insurance. The other side wants to ensure the government spends less money. The ticking clock. Who feels the pinch first? In this high-stakes game of chicken, who blinks first? political structure of this negotiation gives one side a surprising advantage. You might assume that people who rely on the ACA for insurance lean entirely one way politically. But the reality is more complex. Interestingly, a significant number of people enrolled in the ACA marketplace, the people who will be hurt the most if the tax credits vanish, are actually Republicans and independents. Think about that for a moment. The people whose personal costs will go up are voters often aligned with the party currently holding up the budget. This means the political cost of the shutdown is actually higher for the Republicans. The longer the shutdown lasts, the more their constituents, start feeling the financial squeeze of uncertainty. The structure of the negotiation, therefore, favors the Democrats. They are pushing for something that, if it fails, will primarily hurt the opposition's base. We originally thought this whole thing would last only 2 weeks. But 2 things kept the drama going. 1, a clever workaround. The government found a way to ensure the U.S. military got paid on October 15th. This avoided a huge public relations disaster and took pressure off the negotiators from a key constituency. 2, diverted attention. Other major global events, like the Gaza ceasefire negotiations, pulled the president's focus away from the domestic budget battle. These factors gave the Republican side more time to hold the line than many expected. The inflection point, November 1st. Every good story has a turning point, a moment when the tide shifts. In our macroeconomic battle, that moment is November 1st. November 1st is when the ACA marketplace enrollment begins. This is when the theoretical political standoff becomes a real-world financial crisis for millions of individuals. Suddenly, people shopping for health insurance will see their actual monthly payments. They will see the tangible cost of what the shutdown is threatening to take away. Imagine logging into the website. You click on a plan. You see a low, manageable monthly premium. But then you see a notice. If the government fails to extend the tax credit, your premium will increase by X per month, starting January 1st. That is a powerful political weapon. The minute the public starts feeling this pain, the pressure on Congress, especially the Republicans, becomes immense. Another key deadline. The military needs to be paid again at the end of November. The temporary fix that worked in mid-October won't last forever. These 2 deadlines, ACA enrollment and military funding, are the twin forces that are expected to finally drive a negotiated outcome. The clock is ticking down to the moment when the public financial pressure becomes unbearable for the politicians. Market whispers, the surprising winner, While the politicians are arguing, the financial markets, the collective opinion of millions of investors, are already casting their vote on the outcome. The markets believe the Democrats will get their way. They believe the ACA tax credits will be extended. How do we know? We look at the performance of the healthcare sector. A sector is just a group of related companies. Like the healthcare sector includes hospitals, drug manufacturers, and insurance companies. When we say one sector outperforms the broader market, it means its stocks are doing better than the average stock. Since the shutdown began, the S&P 500 Healthcare Index, a measure of major healthcare stocks, has been outperforming the overall market. Why is this a sign of belief? If the tax credits were not extended, fewer people would be able to afford insurance. Fewer people insured means fewer customers for healthcare companies. Their profits would plummet. Investors would be selling their stocks. The sector would be underperforming. The fact that healthcare stocks are doing well tells us that investors are confident that the necessary policy, the extension of the tax credits, is going to happen. They see this shutdown as a temporary hurdle, not a disaster for the industry. The missing data and other ripple effects beyond the political fight and the healthcare market. The shutdown is creating subtle but important ripple effects in the broader economy. The most immediate effect: the government is the primary collector of massive amounts of economic information. With many federal agencies temporarily shut down, critical reports aren't being released. We're missing important numbers on the labor market. How many people are employed or looking for work? We're missing data on investor positioning in futures markets, which are like complex bets on where the market is going. Imagine trying to drive a car with the speedometer and gas gauge turned off. That's what a lack of data feels like for investors and policymakers. The economic impact so far has been limited because the shutdown is relatively short. Most of the lost activity is likely postponed, not foregone or permanently lost. For example, a business loan application might be delayed a week, but the business eventually gets the money. But if the shutdown stretches much longer, beyond early November, the losses could become permanent. Two other sectors face what we call tail risks, small possibilities of big negative impacts. One, renewables. Think solar and wind energy. The shutdown has laid off personnel in key environmental departments. This slows down the process of getting permits and grants for new clean energy projects. Headwinds are emerging like a ship sailing into a light, but steady breeze. 2. Consumer discretionary travel. This sector includes airlines, hotels, and restaurants. If the shutdown creates uncertainty about airport security, air traffic control, or other travel logistics, people might start canceling their Thanksgiving travel plans. That is consumption foregone. That money is not spent later, it's just lost. Our journey tonight has taken us deep into a political drama that has unexpectedly found its center in the finances of American health care. What have we learned? The current U.S. government shutdown is essentially a high-stakes negotiation with a clear focus: the extension of ACA tax credits. It has lasted longer than expected due to external distractions and political tenacity. The market has already signaled its expected outcome, with the healthcare sector's outperformance suggesting investors believe the credits will be extended. And finally, the calendar is forcing a resolution. November 1st, when individuals start seeing the cost of losing subsidies, combined with the need to pay the military again, will create the pressure cooker necessary to force a deal. This shutdown is, for now, a manageable risk, a bump in the road primarily visible in the temporary absence of economic data. But its resolution is set to arrive in the first days of November. Rest easy knowing that even in the quiet of the night, the complex gears of the macroeconomic world are turning, moving toward their next inevitable outcome. Thank you for listening to Midnight Macroeconomics. Good night and sleep well.